my freak flag fly all the time. So, meaning that I lean into who I am, and other than that, because if I try to be any more normal than that, I'm not natural. And so I think the more natural that you are, it allows the other person to relax in who they are. Because if there's any sort of tension coming, they're wondering, why is there tension? They can feel that. So if you're relaxed and you're comfortable and you know the value of what you're sharing, you're able to create that trust and rapport immediately.
Absolutely. Which then leads into this. This is where I like to have some fun on the brain. Our brain has 3 areas. We've got a reptilian brain. That's like our fight or flight. That's like if something's dangerous, I need to pay attention. And that's survival. Then we've got limbic. This is where it's the seat of memory, associative memory. It's the like relatable context. It's where you have emotions. It's where we understand stories. This is where humans have been developed over all these years. The limbic system is really where they go, does this apply to me? How does this apply to me? Can I relate to this? How do I feel about this? What does this really mean in the overall sense for me as a person? And then the neocortex, which is logic thinking. And so what we end up doing, a lot of times I see people in every industry, they lead with like product. Let me show you what we've got. It goes like this, goes like this, goes like this. And we beat people over the head into that neocortex. What that does is it fires the reptilian system going, this isn't safe. I don't like it. And it gets what the knee-jerk reaction called reactance, which is usually an objection that's premature. So our job is to keep that reptilian system at bay, talk in stories, share ideas, be interesting, use joy, anticipation, trust, build these things in there where people go, this feels good, this is interesting. And you say, you told me this, that reminds me of this. Is that what you're doing? And you talk in terms of stories that people can connect with, and stories will get them to remember facts and figures way more. But people go in with these big product pitches and they fall dead in the water because they think all of this stuff, this is the best spreadsheet I've ever built. You got to buy it because it makes sense. But people are dealing with stuff. They've got their world and they're trying to figure out not just does the deal make sense, but how does my team work? Especially for you guys working with your clients, they've got teams around them. They got other buying committees. They got people they have to understand. That they have to help understand what's going on. And if they can't see this thing moving forward because of the people involved, it doesn't matter how solid the offer is. You have to really help people see what you see.
Yeah, and as it relates to transition planning, succession planning, family business advisory, anything that is that in-between advisory service, you really have to connect with the limbic and the neocortex, because there's so much fear of the unknown when it comes to talking to business owners or family business owners, because one, advisory oftentimes it's subjective. It's not just a tax return. It's not tangible. There's a lot of gray area in advisory. And so your ability to ask the right questions, really connect with their emotions, connect with their goals, understand what they want their future to be, and be curious about what's getting in the way in a authentic way, allows you to build that trust, rapport, and also for them to be seen. Because oftentimes a business owner or a family member in a family business, they're dealing with a lot of unknowns and questions and what ifs and emotions. And maybe oftentimes they don't feel heard from their key leaders or the family around them. And so your ability to, one, show up authentically and for lack of a better term, calm and comfortable in your skin, gives them the confidence to open up and share some potentially very close to the best sort of insights. And so your ability to create that connection, I think, is so key in the advisory environment of family business advisory, succession planning, and exit planning, and transition planning.
But you know what, it reminds me of what Michael said. So this mirror neurons are in our brain. These are the things that, like, if you see somebody eating a banana, your brain actually feels like it might be eating a banana. Same thing with yawns. There's a lot of ways that mirror neurons play a part with our emotions, using empathy with our actions. So if you see something, I don't know, that's why you get your leg jerk in the middle of the night, or you see something that makes your body move in certain ways. Our body is primed to connect with other people, and that's what mirror neurons are. One of the things that Ken just mentioned is being able to use vulnerability. And when you go first with vulnerability, you share, hey, you know what, I've been worried about this stuff, man. We're doing this. This is what's going on. This is what I've been dealing with this week. If you go first, it opens up that room for them to also feel like this is a good place. If you can do it, I can do it. But I see a lot of times we put on this armor, like we know all the answers. We have everything here. And now I want to break you down and ask you questions. I'm going to dig and I'm going to probe and I'm going to really go into your world. But I am going to be this like guy on the stage asking these questions, right? And so when Michael, when you're talking about being a curious detective, that's, you might want to sort of reframe that in your mind too, because the detective is out looking for clues and he's on the hunt, right? And a detective has to keep himself safe because that's their job. I almost picture, instead of a detective for you, two kids in the play looking for tadpoles. That's what you guys are doing. You're just trying to go through the mud and see if there's any fish in there. You're just trying to go through, see if there's anything to play with, something you guys can look at. Hey, what about this? Oh, maybe not. And you go through and you guys are both, maybe you're both detectives. And this is the case that you're trying to solve. So when you adopt the role of we're in this together, then the mirror neurons, then you get to be able to use them. And yeah, let's go look for tadpoles, baby. So what is selling? This is based, all of this just comes down to one thing. It's the transfer of a belief. It's the transfer of emotion. It's the transfer of ideas or spark or interest. If I know, I used to sell education, private education. If I had somebody sitting across me, I do the same thing now. And I know that this is the best choice they could make. And I can, and if they make this leap, if they take this chance, if they go and become brave and take the step, this is the best thing that's going to happen in their life. And if they leave my office and have not made that decision, then shame on me. I got work to do. I got to get better at setting the stage, because if people are prejudging, have premature objections, or doing things that are resisting the thing that will help them, then we have to do a better job of setting that. That's why people say, you know, oh, they're not interested. I'm like, it's not that they're not interested. We're not interesting. We have to be more interesting. We have to set the ideal buying environment, and that's our responsibility to them. That's our role when we're in sales, when we're in services, anything. Same thing for kids, for family, for your friends. You have to set that ideal experience so you can make sure that they're ready to learn, they're ready to listen. It's rather than somebody you're telling, hey, I got an idea I want to share, and they're on their phone. You got to get the experience and the environment set up to win.
The book, is it Pitch Anything?
Yeah.
That's what I keep, as you're talking, that keeps coming to mind, is the ability to set the frame and control the frame. Because if someone's asked you, they want to know more about your business and what you're doing, they've asked you to come into their space to share. So now you're in a position to set the frame and talk about within. Can you explain the frame? For some reason, I'm losing my ability to explain it.
Basically, when you're working with, so you're going to maybe talk to somebody, and there's different frames that you're going to go in. You're going to go in your frame, and they're going to go in their frame. And so basically, you're trying to make sure that they're staying in your frame. So for example, like a time frame, you go into your meeting and somebody goes, hey, you know what? I only got 10 minutes. Show me what you got. A lot of people will say, okay, well then let me rush through it, and they'll just dump their stuff on. But that's you going into the frame, and you're not making sure you control it. So what you can do is say, hey, you know what? This is actually more important than what it's going to take in 10 minutes. We won't get through it. Let's rebook this. Or for my style, I like to joke about everything. So I'm like, you only got 10 minutes. I only got 8 minutes. You better tell me what you need. So we can have some fun with that. But if you just give into that frame, or like the power dynamic frame, there's one that I love called the prizing frame, which is I just want them to be like, whatever he's doing, I want to be a part of. So I had a client that was like, I'm trying to get a hold of you. And he's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm getting my golf clubs out and I got whiskey in my hand. I'm like, are you wearing a suit? He's like, oh, come on, man. I was like, well, I'm going to be golfing today. What are you doing? And so he's like, all right, when are we going to golf? And it changed the whole dynamic of client seller, right? Because it's like, we're just two people just trying to do our jobs. Right. So what are we trying to do here? But when you have that power dynamic in that frame and somebody tries to take it, you got to be really careful about where you show up and how you do, because we don't want to be an employee for them. We don't want to be a nuisance. We don't want to be somebody that's on the team. You want to be seen as a partner to them, like as a resource, because we're going to talk about, you want to be somebody they would call, be like, hey, we're having an executive meeting. I need you to, I want to pick your brain about something. Could you talk to the team real quick? If you're not in that position, then you're kind of positioned as a sort of a resource, as a transaction, as maybe an extension of your product. So that's what we're